what does it say, and how should we deal with the theory of constraints. So the theory of constraints is a very important management philosophy which underpins the total quality management principle. So total quality management principle is all about making sure that we achieve quality standards in the manufacturing environment. So the theory of constraints states that systems performance is limited by most critical constraints. So a company's performance of their systems, whether manufacturing systems or whatever system it has, is limited by the most critical limitations. For example, if you have got very few employees, very limited materials, then you are not going to succeed in production. Now, the goal of the theory of constraints is to identify and manage constraints to improve output and profitability. So let's identify those limited resources. Then let's look at how we can improve output and how we can improve profitability. Now, how do we deal with the bottlenecks or the constraints? So Cox and Goodwright said there are 5 ways we can deal with constraints. The first thing that we can do is we have to identify the system's bottleneck. So what is missing? What is really missing in this organization? Limited hours, limited machines. Okay. 2, decide how to exploit the bottleneck. So bottleneck is a challenge. So how do we take advantage of this? If you have limited employees, go and recruit maybe cheap employees, get them from universities, graduates. They might be very cheap. Then you subordinate everything else in decision 2. What we mean is that from now on, you aim to get these cheap graduates until you improve the challenges of labor. Then step number 4, you elevate the system's bottleneck. So you will find ways of completely taking this challenge out of your system. Now, if the above 2 steps, if in the previous steps a bottleneck has been broken, go back to step 1. So once you have achieved the challenge of labor, then you go back to step 1 and address another bottleneck. Let's say now you find machine hours, address it, and so on and so forth until the challenge of bottleneck has been addressed. Now, once a bottleneck has been elevated, it will generally be replaced by a new bottleneck elsewhere in the system. So once you have solved one problem, another problem comes in. Even in everyday life, when you have solved one problem, there will always be problems coming through your way. That is according to Cox and Goodwright. Now, what we're interested most when it comes to calculations is the product decision making. So you might have more than one product which has got bottlenecks. So to address such challenges, there are 5 steps which you are going to follow, just as a limiting factor. So you identify the bottleneck resource, let's say machine hours. In step 2, you calculate the throughput per unit for each bottleneck resource. Then step 3, you calculate throughput per unit, throughput per unit or the bottleneck resource, yes, like that. It means now you calculate throughput maybe per hour. Then step number 4, you rank the products based on step number 3. Then finally, you allocate resources using ranking. For his understanding, a question is going to help us achieve that purpose. So we have a question of Justin Fine. It says, Justin Fine manufactures 4 products, which are A, B, C, and D. Details of sales, prices, costs, and resource requirements for each of the products are as follows. So our products A to D, we have the selling prices, we have the material costs, and we have labor costs. Then we have machine time per unit, as well as labor time per unit. However, these are in minutes. So your job is to convert them into hours. So you divide those by 60. Then weekly sales demand. So those are the weekly sales demand of each product, ranging from 2,000 to 1.5. So we are told that machine time is a bottleneck resource. So it means labor time is not a bottleneck, it's machine time that is a bottleneck. It's a limiting factor. And the maximum capacity is 400 machine hours each week. Operating costs, including direct labor costs, are 5,440 each week. Direct labor costs are $12 per hour. And direct labor workers are paid for 38-hour week with no overtime. The first question says, determine the quantities of each product that should be manufactured and sold each week to maximize profit, and calculate the weekly profit. The second question wants us to calculate the throughput accounting ratio. Okay, so let's get started. Just a minute, I think they're in processing. Excel sheets. Okay, so this is let me call them.